You are experiencing the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast.
It is July 26, 2024, and welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty.
June.
Oh, excuse me, June. I'm already jumping into July. I'm so excited about Freedom Fest. Anyways, it is June 26, 2024, and welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty, where we're bringing you the people and the organizations fighting for liberty around the country and in your region. And today we have just a loaded show. We've got a special guest, Larry Sharpe. So he is a former LP governor's candidate for New York, and he has also just recently come off the vice presidential trail for the Libertarian Party as
Not really.
Well. So, well, we'll hear all about it.
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, and then of course the news with Assange, we're going to talk about that because that is a breaking story as well. And our Knucklehead Noise Patrol will talk a little bit about a funny quip of Bill Maher and a kind of a twist he has on plastic. So we'll talk about that at the end. But before we get into the show, let me introduce you to our panel. In our lower left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our lower right-hand corner, we have our special guest, Larry Sharpe. And my name's Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. And maybe it's possible Tim might pop in at some point too, our screaming eagle of freedom. So anyways, let's jump to what we always start with now is our Liberty quote of the day, and that's tied into the whole Assange story. So our invisible hand, James, can you bring up the quote? So they quote this time, one of the best ways to achieve justice is to expose injustice. And powerful quote. And, that comes from Julian Assange, who is a journalist, the founder of WikiLeaks, and, of course, for the last 5 years plus a political prisoner. No other way to describe him. To me, I can't think of anything more powerful and what better describes the work he was doing in exposing a lot of the lies that our government tells to us routinely. And so, of course, we'll get into a lot of the details of that later in the show. What do you guys think about this quote? To me, that's an awesome short quote.
Larry can go. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I get to the first one? Okay,
Yeah.
yes. I think yes, but it's just not expose, right? So yes, but further, meaning that lots of people expose it, but are you going to do something about it, right? A lot of us expose it. We do something about it. That's the issue, right? And the problem with Julian Assange now is, while I'm happy he's free and not upset at him for accepting a plea deal, the fact that he had to accept the plea deal means exposing is not enough. That's my point, right? The system hasn't changed. He is still a criminal. He is still a criminal, right? He's still broken the law. He is still a bad guy in the eyes of the law. So while, again, I'm happy he's out, glad he did it, I would have done the same thing, right? I would have copped the same deal, right, to get my life back. So I'm not mad at him about it. All I'm saying is our system is still broken. I might say the first step is to expose, but the second step is to actually change.
I think Larry, you make some good points. I mean, the whole idea about Assange is that exposing the injustice, exposing the surveillance state that we are somewhat living in, I think is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But in order for him to do this, he broke the law. So you always have to want. I'm sorry?
I said yes.
Yes. So you always have to wonder, where do we draw the lines, because if laws are immoral or if the action of our government officials are doing illegal, unconstitutional, or immoral things, of course they should be exposed. But you have to break the law to do so. I mean, if you go back in
I would go one step further here, right? And that is, even if you break a law, the judge or a governor or a president, whomever, somebody should say, you know what? The law's dumb. I don't care. This was the right thing to do, and I'm either not going to prosecute you or I'm going to pardon you. Okay, if you're saying that what he did was against the law, and perhaps it was. I don't know the details of the law, but for the sake of argument, it was. So then why doesn't the president go, yes, but the outcome was good, and his intentions were not evil. Why is there a crime? Regardless of the law is my point, right? If the outcome is good, and the intention was not malicious, then why are you're prosecuting at that point just because some brain dead chimps wrote down something on a piece of paper somewhere? Which I mean, when I say brain dead chimps, I mean our Congress. So they wrote down something on a piece of paper, and now all of a sudden it's bad. The example I often give is, if you were a judge, anybody here was a judge, and there was a law that the other, brain dead chimps in a state assembly made a law that said, if you are 17 years old and convicted of graffiti, the sentence is mandatory minimum death. That's the law that these idiots pass. And they pass almost all the time. So if you're a judge now, and here I go to Judge Leon, and the jury convicts the 17-year-old kid. He's convicted, 17 years old. I go to you, Judge Leon, and I'm the prosecutor. I say, Judge, you are bound by law to sentence this child to death. Please do so. The question is, what do you do? And if you were to go, look, it's the law, I'm sentenced to death, you're a horrible human being. You should not be a judge. That's a terrible answer. The answer is, I'm not putting a 17-year-old to death for graffiti. I don't care what the store-bought empty heads in my assembly said. So that's the second piece of that.
Certainly a good case for nullification there in that particular case.
Well, that raises, even though, Larry, I can see the morality of your analogy. I really do. But that raises the issue of, where do you draw these lines? Because, this whole idea of nullification, or this whole idea of trying to do the right thing or trying to be moral. Okay, as in your analogy, is a judge who have to be, well, I guess the judge was me. So it's about my morality is what you're talking about here.
Yes.
Then the question then becomes, where do you draw the line? Because everybody's morality, when you look at all of us here, is a very subjective thing. And 100%. if we don't have fixed standards by which to judge, then you could be leading to something quite chaotic, even though I agree with your analogy.
If I have a choice of chaos or organized evil, I will take chaos. I don't mind. I'll take chaos. Because right now what we have is organized tyranny, organized evil. Because we don't have a democracy. An example I'll give you is most people, wherever you live, most people, their vote does not count at all for most people. And I don't mean just president, I mean period. Most places are gerrymandered. Which means political parties pick their voters. So if you're not a member of that political party that's in charge, you have no say in your local politics. If you don't live in a swing state, you have no say in your national politics. So we don't even have a democracy. So the people don't even have the power to select the right people to pass the right laws. So right now the parties select who they want to run things. They run things. We see that by Jamal Bowman here in New York State as a perfect example of that. And then the leaders do whatever they want. There's no repercussions at all. I would rather have it that a judge like yourself who makes a bad decision in this fictitious case gets scolded by your people and gets voted out or not. Judges right now have literally no repercussions for anything. They do what they want, however they want. So what do they actually do all the time? They simply look at precedent. To your point, they don't want chaos. So they say, what did someone before say? And here's the problem with that. 10 judges are good. One judge is an idiot. The one judge says something stupid. The other judges go, well, he said it, so I'll just copy it. And now they're all saying stupid shit for generations because they follow, to your point, precedent, which keeps things non-chaotic and standardized, but retains more and more tyranny. So if I have an option of chaos or organized evil or tyranny, I'll take chaos. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough.
And one thing I would like to jump in on too, and I don't even think he really committed a crime here, but we'll get into that later in the show.
I would like us to talk about. That's a good point, Jason.
But don't worry, we'll have plenty of time for him later, Leon.
Okay.
But anyway, let's jump in because we're already a ways into the show. So let's jump into talking about Larry. So Larry is an interesting guy in the Libertarian Party. He's worn a lot of hats, and so I want to give viewers a chance. Certainly, we interviewed you before, Larry. This isn't your first time on the show, so viewers, you can go back and find out more about him and sort of what led him to liberty and all that stuff. stuff in those shows. But right now I want to get to just a little clip of his show so you know what it is that he's about. So first, James, could you show the visual real quick so I could show his a website? It's called thesharpeway.com. So this is where you can go find out a lot about Larry's other shows and find out ways that you can support and follow what he's doing. And of course, like I said, he has run for governor. So here is a picture of him campaigning for governor in his region. And there's actually a pretty good clip that I wanted to show from him talking, because one of the things I really love about Larry is that he's thinking about ways to use government to actually get to some good solutions if he were elected, so sort of some pragmatic ways. I remember hearing him once talk about, hey, sell naming rights to bridges, all kinds of other things like that. But here's something where he's talking about the environment. So just to give you a flavor of what it's like to listen to Larry's show, James, can you play KOL number 1?
How about instead of us trying to get people to stop using water or use less water, meanwhile, we wash down ships and tanks every day and waste tons and tons of water on washing down equipment, whatever that we do every day. Instead of that, we try to find a very effective desalination plant. How do we do that? An X project. Well, if you want a desalination plant, maybe run by nuclear power, all of a sudden you have lots of water. Lots and lots of water. You have lots of clean water with a good desalination plant and a nuclear power plant. Literally, you can pump out the water that could go to a hydro plant. So energy could then create energy. Crazy, right? So the nuclear power plant that does the desalination plant, which goes to a hydro plant, it's not a perpetual energy machine. Whereas it's as close as you're going to get. But this actually can work. All we have to do is talk about it and walk away and let the private sector deal with this, but just give them a couple things they want. 1, stop punishing them. That would be nice, right? Stop regulating them to death, number 1. Number 2, talk about it so people see it. And number 3, give them some type of benefit if they're the first one who does it.
So there's kind of a clip of Larry giving sort of a pragmatic thoughts. And, this is one of the things I appreciate, because there's a lot of libertarians out there who just say, in government, and that's it. It's like we have a magic wand that can just sort of do that tomorrow. So, yeah. So anyways, there's that. So Larry, you've been, I guess, participating in libertarian politics for a long time, and recently you were running as VP, and you were actually, Jane,
really.
Maybe you could show real quick. You were running with Lars Mapstead, and so there's a picture of that, and we've had Lars on the show a few times too. So I guess what it kind of is your role, I guess, behind the scenes? Because I saw that you were like moderating a lot of debates out there and all this. So I mean, you're totally in the mix. You seem to have your ear to the ground on everything that's going on. So can you describe for the audience sort of what your role is, I guess, within the sort of national libertarian politics?
Whatever people ask me to do, that's literally what I do. I do whatever people ask me to do. Right? You asked me to come on a show, I came on a show. People asked me to. I just got asked to moderate a debate between Michael Leibowitz and Jeremy Kaufman this Friday at 6. So I'll be doing that too. So people often ask, because I'm a public face, right? When I ran for governor, I was on all the big shows. I'm often representing people. I raise money for people. I'll MC things. It's whatever the party needs me to do. I tend to not care about any group within the groups. People get mad at me because I don't attack the other group, whatever the group that you like, those who attack the other group. I never attack either group. I help any group that asks me to help, which makes them angry because how dare you help that group? But I help them. I don't want to fight the culture wars. The Libertarian Party culture wars are a colossal waste of time. So I don't fight them. And people get mad because they want me on their side of the culture war. But I'm not going to be on your side. I don't care. And then they get angry. But then they need money. So they want me to raise money for them. So they forgive me. And then I come raise money for them. Or they need someone to moderate something. So they all of a sudden don't get mad at me anymore and tell me to moderate. Or they need someone to come to their podcast or whatever. So I just say yes. So that's what I do. I do whatever they ask me to do.
Okay. Did somebody ask you to run for vice president?
Yes, Lars Mapstead did.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
I was going to ask what inspired you to run with Lars, but I guess it's Lars asking.
Well, no, a couple people asked me to be forward with you, and this is the issue. A couple people did ask me. Josh Smith also asked me, and I'm Josh's friend, so I actually considered it, and I actually started calling some donors, not donors. I often call donors, but I was calling delegates, seeing what they were thinking, and I didn't see Josh having that much of a following on that, but Lars had a following, which is good. But the other thing is, Lars was the only one who he had two things that I wanted. One, he wasn't connected to any caucus. And I didn't want to have a caucus person win because I knew that would just create more civil war, and we keep fighting we keep fighting the culture, which we're fighting now. Again, exactly what happened, right? If Chase or Rechtenwald won, either one of them won, we were going to fight culture war. And odds are one was going to win, and one did, and we're fighting culture war. I wanted Lars to win because Lars was not a member of any caucus, so he didn't have either side. But not just that, Lars was heavily funded. Lars is a well-off man himself, and he could put money into his own campaign. Plus, he has wealthy friends who don't care about libertarians, but care about him. So if someone else wins, they go, I don't care about libertarians. I'm not libertarian. Oh, Lars won? Here's money. I love Lars. So his friends would give money. He would have raised easily $3, $4, $5, $10 million that no one else will even come close to raising. He also was the only guy who understood my plan, which is the only right plan, which is the plan to not focus on all 50 states right away, to focus initially on smaller states where you may be able to get a good polling. So the polling then makes it a national campaign, and then focus only on trying to get electoral votes off the bat so you can make actual impact, which then again gets us more press and more money. And now you can get 3, 4, 5%, get ballot access across the state, and also qualify for matching funds in 2028. And why does that matter? Because that will draw talent, donors, and expertise to the party. I said that the Libertarian Party wanted to play culture war. So it did. And we got Chase. And now Chase is going to fight the same culture war that Rechtenwald would have fought. So
Larry, what do you think about the current culture war that is ongoing in the Libertarian Party?
It's a colossal waste of time, which it was back in 2020. It was in 2022, and it is in 2024. The culture war is why I didn't get ballot access in New York State, and which why I don't have ballot access now in New York State or Illinois or Alabama. It's because of the culture war. It's the reason why I couldn't run for president, because I couldn't get ballot access in 2024 because the culture. People were so worried about culture war they wouldn't support. In 2022, I was the most popular libertarian running clearly that year. I raised $500,000 again, the second time. I was polling at 6% in New York State. That's impossible. And they were like, no, I'm not gonna give you money. I'm not gonna support you. Cause culture war shit, because you didn't get angry at the side that I wanted you to angry at. That's how short-sighted we were. So we lost ballot access in New York State, which means that we won't have it now. And we lost me as a candidate. Because I kicked off the ballot because I couldn't make it. If I would have made the ballot, I would have got at least 6% in that race, maybe 8 or 10, who the hell knows? And with that, I would have been super popular. We'd raised tons of money. And this year would have been a great year for us. This year will be a terrible year for us now. We'll probably come in, if things go the way I think they are, we're going to come in 5th. Not even 3rd, we're going to come in 5th. Because Jill Stein is now funded by the anti-war left. And RFK Jr., of course, has tens of millions of dollars. So we'll probably come in 5th behind all of them.
Yeah, it does seem like one thing Chase Oliver does do, though, is he contrasts well with the two main party candidates as far as that goes. I mean, he's a younger guy. Yeah, that's yeah.
It doesn't matter. So did Joe Johnson. No one's going to hear them. It doesn't matter. They don't have any money. No one's going to hear them. That's the point. No one's going to hear them. It doesn't matter what they say, right? It doesn't matter how awesome they are. It doesn't matter how good their messaging is. That's just shit we fool ourselves and believe matters. It doesn't matter if no one hears it. It doesn't matter if no one hears it. Someone's got to hear it for it to matter. No one's going to hear it. No one's paying attention to any of these guys. They're paying attention to Trump, Biden, RFK Jr. That's it. No one's going to get
that brings up a good strategy point, because one of the contentious things that happened this year in libertarian politics is that people like RFK and Trump were invited to the conventions.
Yes.
In fact, and it's funny because I listening to Dave Smith a little bit, I heard him talk about, hey, look, we're getting eyeballs on the party. I mean,
I agree. He's right.
So, yeah. So,
I mean, look, to be forward, I was afraid when we invited those people. I was worried to go poorly. I was worried that the press would show up and be like, oh, it's Trump, so now all libertarians are Trump. I was worried. But I did realize that it would. I don't mind gambling because you gamble. I know from my Marine Corps days, right? In the military, you gamble when you're losing, not when you're winning. When you're winning, it's going your way. So don't gamble. You're winning. It's all good. When you're not winning, gamble. And we are not winning. So gamble. I thought it was a good gamble. I did. I was worried, to be clear, because there was a chance that it backfired horribly. But it did not. I think it was good for us in general. I think it showed that the mainstream people need us, and that Angela is correct in it when she says that we will be the ones who help decide, who will be president, because the independents, the third party people are huge right now in this country. And I think we will have a major say in who wins this election. And I think that showed it. So I'm happy they came. I think in the long run, it was good. There were some rocky parts, but I think in the long run, it was a good idea. I'm glad it happened.
Well, one thing I wanted to share too with the audience, and just to show the kind of contention it was making, you were actually narrating a debate that had RFK in it in California. Yeah. And somebody got really upset in the audience. Yes, exactly. And I wanted to show that to the audience. That was this is Larry. This is Larry laying down the wood, I guess. And this is KOL2. James, can you show that clip real quick?
I can tell you how we shouldn't handle the lies that come from the duopoly. We shouldn't handle it by repeating them. We cannot repeat the lies and the propaganda that they spit out.
But hold on. But I want to hold on. Stop. Stop. You are going to be removed if you don't stop. Then get out now. Get out now. I will. Sergeant Arms, get rid of him. I will.
We didn't come here to listen to Kennedy. We want to hear the other guys.
I am. Get out. Thank you.
So the guy was just really upset that you were letting RFK speak and not letting.
No. That's the issue. The guy was actually. I feel bad for him because he didn't understand at all. Actually, Rec was happy with me. The problem is I was trying to make Rec look like a human being. The question I was asking was, how did if you move on with that clip, you'll see right afterwards I said, no, Michael, tell me how it affected you. What did you lose? And that's when he was like, yes, Larry, I lost a lot. Because he had lost a book deal. He had lost his own party. He had lost a lot. And he was walking down a rhetoric road that meant nothing. I wanted the people to see who he was. I was being a good moderator. Kennedy had just said his family and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, great. Now let our guys say that too, what they lost. So I actually was being good to Kennedy. The guy was just mad because he thought, I'm just mad because my guy isn't winning. He was just mad. So he got thrown out. It was silly. It was dumb. I was, and at the end of it, I let him, and if you saw that, I let him and Rectenwald go at it. Rectenwald and him went at it at the end. I just let him go. I didn't mind. I told Rectenwald and Termat only one thing. I said, you can do policy all you want. I said, please don't do any personal attacks. Don't say, Kennedy, you're an idiot or you're dumb. Don't say that. Go, the policy is bad because. I'm fine with that. Just no personal attacks. And they were good. Rectenwald was good. So was Termat. Neither of them made personal attacks. They attacked policy only, which was completely fair.
Yeah. To be honest, I think you get a lot more if you're listening out there to one of these libertarian debates than you get out of these mainstream debates between the two parties that just throw out bumper stickers.
I also did one with Cornel West also.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but I think, was that at the same conference?
Same conference. That was the next day. And the Cornel West one, I got to tell you, look, to be forward, Cornel West obviously is not a libertarian. I mean, obviously not a libertarian. But man, can that guy talk? He got a standing ovation.
Wow. Yeah.
Because he just is so good at the way he comes out and the things he says. You don't even know what he's saying. You're like, this sounds amazing. I don't even know what he said, but it's just great. It's just so good. He is a very talented speaker. I mean, he is very talented. People just love to listen to him talk. He could be recite the alphabet and we clap. I mean, he was very good.
But Cornel West is more of a Marxist, and I mean, I don't think he understands anything about libertarianism, quite frankly.
Yes, I think you're right. I'm just saying his speaking ability is just so good that we actually clapped. I don't know if he even knows what he was saying, but it was just he speaks with that passion, and he just, if you watch it, you're like, wow, it's very good. I wish he was on my side. So yes, he's very good.
Well, Larry, what are some of the challenges that you guys faced, you and Lars running in this campaign? I know it's kind of loose for people who are watching. It's not quite the way it is in the other parties where it's a set ticket. I mean, you guys are sort of just saying you're running together, but in reality, they could elect either one of you, which is actually how Mike Tremont.
No, that's not actually true because I dropped out. So no, it actually wasn't true. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't really run. I was running only with him. And when he didn't make it, I just dropped out. I didn't actually run at that point. I stopped. I don't mean to be cruel, but I was very forward. I don't do this as a vanity run. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of people who run for office in the Libertarian Party are just vanity runs. It's I want to be cool, or I want to go on a show or something, and they run for office. Most, not all, obviously, but there are a huge chunk who do that. That's not what I'm doing. I've already been on Joe Rogan. I already have my own show. I don't require any of that vanity stuff. It's not something for me to do. So if we're not going to make impact, why would I run? I run to make impact. I ran in New York State twice so I can get ballot access. That makes impact, right? I ran so I could build the party out. That makes impact. Lars Mapstead had exactly the right plan. If we had won, we would have made impact. We would have won electoral votes. There would have been gold on the map. We would probably come in fourth, maybe third. I mean, we would have made we would have gotten bait stage because we had the cash to buy the polling. We actually had a shot at doing something. Anyone else running wasn't going to do that because I knew half the party would be against them. The other thing that would have brought people together is Lars would have been to raise the money to hire people. And you might say, I don't like because my guy didn't win. Here's a check, Jason, come aboard. I now love Lars. That's what would have happened. Because that's what always happens, right? All of a sudden, I'm paying libertarians to do work. They'll show up. It's how it works. Now I have a real campaign with real volunteer opportunities. People volunteer, right? When that kind of stuff happens, people would have joined. We would have been able to unite the party and make things happen. That I was on board for. But this year is going to be just like 2020. It's a nice campaign, but.
Mm-hmm. I did notice when, Lars came on our show first when, I first met him here at California convention about 2 years ago, I think it was. He sort of has evolved over that period of time. I mean, I saw him. He put out some pretty decent videos for campaign videos late in the process as well. So
people just wanted the other person to lose. If you were at that place, people were like, I got to vote for Rec because we can't have Chase, or I got to vote for Chase because we can have Rec. The stupid Trump derangement syndrome shit that the rest of the country deals with, we dealt with in the Libertarian Party. We became the duopoly. It literally became a duopoly. We were just like, this is the most important election in the Libertarian world. Just like they tell us out there, you got to pick one, Chase or Rec. Just like they tell us it's Biden or Trump.
By the way, Larry, I got to break in for just a second here because if you're watching on public access, the conversation goes on, but you'll have to go online for the rest of the show. You can find a lot of our other shows there and a lot of other great conversations. So anyways, check us out there. So back to the show. Larry, you finish your
No,
thoughts.
That's all I had. We became that, and that was our end. We couldn't get past it. We could not get past people's desire to either beat Rec or beat Chase. We just couldn't get past it. And they were like, no, we have to stop Chase or we have to stop Rec. That was what so many people wanted, and we couldn't get past it. I wish we could have, but we couldn't.
Well, that does bring up another question I had, and this is always it's good to sort of look back on these things. And is there anything that you might have done differently if you had it all to do it over again this time on this VP, endeavor?
I don't know, maybe committed earlier, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know if I could have won it. I mean, the party really wants to fight culture war. It just does. It really does. And I don't know if I can get past it. I don't know. I don't know if this year I don't know if I could have won this year. Maybe not bother running because maybe there was no chance. Maybe looking back at it, maybe I shouldn't have even run at all because maybe there was just no chance. I should just ignored it and let play out what was going to play out. Maybe because I don't know if I affected the actual outcome either way. I don't know if I did. So maybe if with hindsight, maybe not even bother running.
And just sorry, go ahead, Leon.
Larry, you keep referring to the culture wars. I think this is about your third or fourth reference to the culture wars that apparently the Libertarian Party wants to fight.
And the rest of the country too.
Yeah, the country too, fine, exactly. when you say culture wars, what exactly are you talking about? Just give me
social issue virtual signaling that actually has no impact whatsoever. That's what I mean. Like yelling at Chase about he's transing the kids or whatever they yell at him about. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to change anything. It doesn't get one libertarian elected. It doesn't change ballot access laws. It doesn't change the debate system. It doesn't change the two-party system. It doesn't stop the wars overseas. It doesn't change the prison industrial complex. It does nothing. It does nothing except I care about the kids or I don't care about the kids. So I virtue signal and that's what matters. Or I yell, free, somebody, but I don't have a reason or way to free the person. Or I yell the thing and I say the thing that seems to matter, but I don't have a plan to do anything. Or I just yell, end all the wars, but I have no plan to end the wars. I have no way to make anything happen. I have no way to do anything. It's just I'm talking stuff and sounding cool. And the Democrat programs do it, and we do also. Did anybody else have an actual plan to make impact besides Lars Mapstead? No, I got bold messaging. I don't care. No one's going to hear it. I've been hearing bold messaging for 50 years, and nothing happens. I want a plan to make some impact. That's what I want. I want a plan to make. I don't care what you don't have to win. What's the impact? When I ran in New York State in 2018, I ran to get ballot access. That was impact. It worked. And then 1 year later, I crossed the state and I went from 15 county affiliates to 30. I doubled the number of county affiliates in my state. That's impact, Leon. That's what I want to hear. What are you going to do? I didn't go, oh, who cares about this? Whether, I don't know, whatever is the culture war thing of the day, right? The border, yelling about the border. I'm open borders or closed borders. Who cares? You're not affecting the border. You didn't have a plan for the border. You got nothing. You're just yelling when you're one side or the other. Doesn't mean anything. That's what I mean. Yelling things that don't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing I did want to jump in on as well, so people can kind of understand the impact of what has happened in the Libertarian Party this year, is that half of the party, roughly the Mises caucus, has said, at least a fair amount of them have said, hey, we're voting for Trump this year after what happened. And so that's actually potentially going to have a negative impact on the party as far as ballot access. And, I've got to say, if you are in a purple state, or excuse me, if you're in a solid blue or solid red state, please vote Libertarian if you have liberty ideas.
I can't.
At least you'll help out. Yeah,
I can't. I can't because he's not on my ballot. New York State law ballot access.
Yeah, so that's right. Just the way they keep screwing you over there, they're screwing us.
And this is the Libertarian Party's fault because they ignored me in 2022.
Yeah.
They ignored me in 2022, so now I don't have ballot access, so I can't vote for Chase. He's not on my ballot. It doesn't matter to me. Why do you think I'm so flippant about it? It doesn't matter to me. I can't vote for him. It's irrelevant what he does. I can't touch him. I don't get to vote for him. If you're in Illinois, you can't vote for him either. You can't vote for him if you're in Chicago. You can't vote for him. It doesn't matter. I can't vote for Chase. It doesn't matter. Rectenwald could have run. I couldn't vote for Rectenwald either. It doesn't matter.
Well, hopefully they can write him in at least.
It doesn't matter. They won't count it.
Oh my God!
Remember, in ballot act, in most states, and again, this is my exact point. You brought it perfectly, Jason. In most states, you're not an official write-in unless they say you're an official write-in. So you writing in someone's name doesn't count anymore. Yes.
I tell you, yeah.
So I don't care about the culture war crap. I care about my state, New York, which is being destroyed every single year, being repaired. I care about people not leaving my state. I care about the world's greatest city becoming the world's worst city, New York. That's what I worry about. That's why if you wonder why I'm so flippant, that is the reason why. It doesn't matter to me. What can I do? And there's no future for the Libertarian Party getting ballot access in New York State. There is no future. None. There's no future.
This is we feel that too here in the Golden State as well. Yeah. Except that I'm not sure if I think Chase will probably be on the ballot here. I'm assuming, but
yes, he will. You guys, you can vote for him. I cannot. Okay. But that is my only problem. My problem is not just that. We're not going to raise enough money or have enough popular candidates for it to happen in the future. Mm-hmm. So it isn't just we lost this year. It's done in New York. It's over. Mm-hmm. Finished. Illinois, it's finished. The Libertarian Party, unless something changes tremendously, will never have 50 state ballot access ever again.
Yeah.
It's done.
And it's funny.
And nobody cared.
We just had a clip from you that we used on the last show when we were talking with Mark Hinkle, and we were talking about essentially the RFK problem of him being denied being in the debates, essentially, and you had a pretty good take on that as well.
Yes. RFK is our best chance to make impact this year in the states where we can't get libertarians on the line. Right? And I once said, this will make Leon want his head explode. I once said that I am all about third parties no matter what, because I must break the system. And that literally, if Cornel West was the only independent on my ballot, I'd vote for Cornel West.
Really?
Yes. And let me be very clear why. If I vote for Trump or Biden, I am perpetuating that system that will make sure I never have a chance of success ever. That's why. Well, but Trump is better than Biden and Biden's better than Trump. Who gives a shit? It's 4 years later like the next idiot. Doesn't matter. Never forget this. Bush got us Obama. Obama got us Trump. Trump got us Biden. Nobody's winning but them. They just wait 4 years and swap them out. If you think Biden's worse and you vote for Trump, awesome. You pushed off Biden for 4 more years, but 4 years later, you get an AOC or you're getting Kamala Harris or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. You're delaying your pain for 4 years. Meanwhile, what has the last 25 years gotten us? 25 years of decay. And the next 25 years are full of decay unless we break this system. So yes, I would rather vote for any third-party person over the two parties which perpetuate the system. Yes, anybody.
But Larry, you're saying in a sense, I mean, I understand the logic of your statement, but you're saying in a sense, your principles are not going to guide you. Because even though, fine, we are liberty-minded people. I'm not a libertarian in the sense of how you guys are libertarians, but liberty-minded people, there's quite a lot of overlap with, say, the Republican Party.
No, there isn't. Nope.
Huh?
No,
you don't agree with that. You don't agree with that.
No. So how much impact did Justin Amash make? Oh, right, none. How much did Thomas Massie make? Oh, right, none. None. So no, there's a couple people who are liberty leaning. I love Thomas Massie. I love Justin Amash. I'd vote for them in a heartbeat. I love them. How much impact did they make? None. Amash left saying he makes more impact on Twitter. His words, not mine. He makes more impact on Twitter than Congress. His words. None. If we don't break the system, we're fooling ourselves. Your principles mean shit when they put you in prison. What did Assange's principles get him? Got him 5 years in prison. What did Snowden's principles get him? Exiled to Russia. Your principles mean shit when they can put you in jail. Change the system so people can afford their principles.
Well, and that is a great segue to our next topic, which is Julian Assange.
I don't mean to be forward, but you asked the question. I gave you an actual answer.
No, I'm fine. If I ask a question, man, you give me an answer, and I'm fine.
I gave you an answer.
I can't tell you that your answer is wrong. I mean,
yes, you can. You can tell me I'm wrong.
Well, no, there are things I disagree with, but I mean, then I sure Jason want to get onto a lot of other things, I mean, okay. Let me tell you, I'm not going to belabor the point. I can never see myself voting for a socialist Marxist, regardless of what we're trying to do here. Yes, we're trying to make headway. The liberty-minded people in our society, I would like to see them move along further and get more elected offices and that kind of stuff. But I cannot sacrifice my principles enough to vote for someone like Cornel West. I could never see that.
Yep. I understand it completely. And I think in what I said, I'm the oddball. I think you're the norm. I do. I think most people think the way you do. They think my principles matter. But I have been burned by the system so many times. When I did what I said, when I was able to grow the Libertarian Party out, in New York State, I had 107 local libertarians win elections in 2019. 100 from 0 to 107. That's real impact. In 2020, after that, the Democratic Party that was in charge changed the rules in the middle of a cycle and wrecked everything and destroyed my party. Then when I fought back in 2022, the Republicans are the ones who spent 6 figures suing me off the ballot to ensure I couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
Both of them went out of the way. And I sat in front of 8 different judges, Republicans, Democrats. Every one of them told me go to hell. They didn't care about principles. They didn't care about money. They didn't care about my rights. They cared only about their system. That's all they cared about. I actually had them say, I said to one of the judges, I said, sir, what you're creating is an aristocracy where only the elites can run and no one else can. He agreed and said didn't care, moved on. Another judge actually said out loud, it's on record, no, these laws are meant to keep people off the ballot. So it was fine. Fine. I expressed to one judge, I said, look, you don't understand. In New York State, over 500,000 people every single year vote third party knowing they're going to lose. Why do you do that? It's a protest vote. This is your First Amendment right to protest. If you just didn't care, you'd stay home. You get off the couch and you go vote for someone who's not going to win. That is telling people my protest. He's like, I don't care. Didn't care. Did not care. And then I said, this is impossible. What you put together is impossible. Nobody can get in the ballot. It's impossible. Then months later, I sued again in an appeal after no one made it. So I said it was impossible. Then I showed it was impossible. In fact, a guy, Lee Zeldin, who was a sitting congressman, tried to get on the ballot as independent. He couldn't do it. A sitting congressman couldn't do it. A millionaire, a guy by the name of Harry Wilson, is a millionaire. Couldn't do it. I showed him that. Did not care. Did not care. This is why I'm jaded, Leon. This is why I'm jaded.
So, Larry,
Understood.
So, does somebody that's registered to vote, whatever party, doesn't matter, and they don't vote, does that vote, that non-vote, get counted? Do they look at that? Do they go, oh, wow, let's just say that half the voting population that were registered to vote did not show up to vote. Would the powers to be and would the mainstream media, would they even count that, look at it, just say, hey, look, half the people didn't vote. They were registered, but they didn't show up. Would that count?
100%, and they would love it. They would jump for joy, glee. They'd be so goddamn happy. And they are in my state. In many parts of my state, upstate New York, Republicans are so broken in my state, only 1 in 6 vote. 1 in 6 registered voters. 1 in 6. That's how bad it is in some parts of my state. And they're happy as can be. Shut up. Don't vote. I got money to make. This is about a grift. I hope you don't vote. That's what they think. I don't think that. Please don't vote. Stay home. Netflix is awesome. Why are you voting? Watch some movies. Play some games. They don't want you voting. In New York, and I only talk for New York State, Tim. I know my state. That's all I talk for, so I don't know if it's across the country. But in New York State, we're lucky if we get 40% people to vote. Registered voters. There are 18 million, 19 million New Yorkers, give or take. There are about 12 million eligible to vote. About 10 million who can vote, who are registered to vote. 2 million who are eligible who don't register. So that's about what it is in my state. Don't register. Of the 9 to 10 million who are registered to vote, unless it's a presidential election, maybe 4 to 6 vote, 4 to 6 million vote, half or less. That's every year.
Yeah, it's pretty
They
dismal.
like it. They like it. They don't care. They matter of fact, not only do they care, they care that they love it.
100%. Can't wait.
So maybe they would like it even better then if they like if they like 60% not voting, maybe they would like 90% not voting.
Love that. They only had to spend money on 10%. They only have to spend money on 10% of the people. And they would hope the people, generally speaking, the people who vote more are people who are older and people who watch legacy media, right? That's the highest percentage of voting. If those people did it, they could just do TV commercials and that's it. They would love that. Put their money on Fox News and CNN, done deal. Win every election. They would love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I tell you, this is all just absolutely earth-shattering stuff as far as people's understanding of how the system really works. But, I feel like we're, I guess, imprisoning the story of Assange here. So we definitely want to break that one out.
No, I like the conversation, guys. I'm glad we're talking. If you want to ask questions, I like the back and forth. It's good. I enjoy the back and forth tremendously.
No, it's awesome. And, like I said, to your point, though, about how...
Well, Leon thinks I'm a communist now, so I'm not sure. He thinks I'm a communist now. Oh, no. I might have lost him. I might have lost Leon for the next one, the next election. I might have lost him.
You'll get him in the long run.
I'll get him in the long run. I'll come back on in like 2 months, try to get him back.
Okay.
I don't know, to put Leon on the spot, my litmus test for a libertarian, whether you're one or not, is how you think about Assange. That's my litmus.
Ooh, I like that.
We're about to find out.
But that was my point earlier, right? I am happy that he's free, of course. And again, I would have taken the same deal he took. I'm not mad at him for it. But I am upset that he's still officially a criminal. And I think he needs to be pardoned. He needs to be free. He needs to be something, right? I mean, again, happy he's out. I would have taken the same deal. So if they gave me that deal, I'd have taken it too. So I'm just being clear. I'm not being a hypocrite here. I'm saying the system still has to change.
Well,
that's my issue.
This goes to both sides too, because, obviously Assange first sort of got into trouble under the Obama administration, and that's when he sort of had to start hiding in embassies. And then he was actually pursued by the Justice Department during the Trump administration. And, nobody, stood up for freedom of the press during that time. And most of the corporate media didn't even stand up for freedom of the press.
Why would they?
Exactly. Which is just
unbelievable. You understand, corporate media is not real press. Corporate media is funded by two types of people. Politicians, actually that's not true. Political parties is more accurate. Political parties and pharmaceuticals. Those are the two people who fund them. As long as those people are happy, they're happy. That's all that matters. That's their audience. Their customers aren't us. We're not their customer. Their customer is pharmaceuticals and political parties. So if pharmaceuticals are happy, and pharmaceuticals do not want free speech at all, last thing they don't want free press. They don't want that because then people might find out how bad some of their stuff is. They don't want that. And political parties want you, as Tim and I were talking about, don't even want you voting. Could you please just shut up? Can you just stay home and give us money? Can you just do that? We got stuff to do. Just pay your taxes and shut up. That's what they want. So what's their incentive? The incentive now, believe it or not, is actually independent media. Because independent media is very often supported by the actual viewers directly. So we become the actual customer, right? When we become the customer, now they care about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think, again, this goes back to our piece with Trump coming to the Libertarian Party. Trump doesn't care about Ross Ulbricht. Trump doesn't care about Assange. He doesn't care about those people. Neither does Biden. Yeah. But enough people in the independent world right now, this is the first year where more people in a voter block, the largest voting block is now independent or non-affiliated. That's never been true before. So they know that people are checking out. And their worry, Tim, is not that they won't vote. Their worry is they'll vote against them. That's their worry. They'll vote against them. So let me free Assange and Ross Ulbricht. I'll do that. And then maybe Tim will stay home. Right? Because now he has no reason to yell at me because I freed Assange. So now Tim, stay home. Don't vote. Stay home. Look, I freed Assange. Tim, go watch Netflix. Right? That's what they're hoping for. Right? And Trump is like, I freed Ross. Leon, stay home. I freed Ross. Why are you going to vote for? Don't do that. Right? That's their hope.
Yeah. Well, I want to give the audience just a little bit of a sense of who Julian Assange is, because quite frankly, if you're just watching corporate media, you probably think he's a bad guy.
Correct. Yes.
And so
he's killing our spies barehanded.
Exactly. Yes. But James, maybe our invisible hand, you could bring up the articles here real quick. I just want to show these and then show a quick clip of what it was that actually got Assange in all of his trouble. So Assange recently, he made a plea deal with the government. So they didn't apologize to him. They didn't tell him they were wrong, but they made a plea deal with him, and they're essentially letting him out of prison. And here he is looking much older because he has really been through the ringer. But essentially what he was doing is he had formed this company, WikiLeaks, which was encouraging people to come forward, and if they had stuff they wanted to spill on government corruption, share it with him, and he will blast it out to the world. And quite frankly, this is what most major corporate media media does as well too. They say that, hey, if you've got stuff you want to share with us that's juicy, we'll share it to the world. They don't wind up often going to prison, but unfortunately, if you're a small guy like Julian Assange, who didn't have a big corporation behind him, he wound up in jail for quite a few years here.
Yes.
And let me show the clip that really got him in trouble. So this was a clip of him showing video footage from the U.S. military where they actually wound up killing a couple of Reuters reporters. So James, maybe you could show KOL number 3.
For more than 2.5 years, the wire service Reuters has been trying to find out what happened to their 2 staff members on this street in the suburb of New Baghdad. WikiLeaks says this is what happened.
Yep, he's got a weapon too. Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18, have 5 to 6 individuals with AK-47s. We got RPG. All right, we got a guy with
The voice on the tape, presumably a member of the military, says there has been shooting in the area and receives permission to open fire.
When people are labeled as insurgents, are they really insurgents? It seems to be the case that from the scenes in this video, that any person that is not a man and sometimes not a woman is by default labeled as an insurgent.
light them all up.
202 traffic, 260s.
Come on, fire. Hey, Roger. Keep shooting. God damn it, Kyle. All right. I hit him by head. Oh, yeah, look at those dead bastards. Nice. 2-6, crazy.
From a distance, you hear the voices on the tape watch as the wounded try to crawl to help. But when help arrives,
Come on, let us shoot.
You're engaged.
1-8, engage. Clear. Come on. Clear. Oh, yeah, look at that, right through the windshield.
In this video, I think you see the corruption of pilots and the military by war itself, in particular by the modern nature of aerial warfare.
So he was essentially sharing with us the reality of what's happening out there in a place we haven't declared war with, and quite frankly, people who aren't even combatants are getting killed, and are, he's sharing that with us, and that's what he got into trouble with. You guys have any thoughts on this?
We talk about whistleblowers all the time. Then he was a whistleblower, and we punished him. If the government is, the government will always tell you this. Always, they'll say, if you got nothing to hide, why do you care if we search? Well, government, if you got nothing to hide, why do you care if Assange shows what you're doing? Why do you care? There's no reason for you to be worried about it, because you're doing nothing wrong, right? Here's how I love it. I do something wrong, I go to jail. Government does something wrong, I go to jail. How does that work, right? It doesn't change. No matter what, I go to jail. What's going on with that? So, yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. Kind of that rigged coin of government, flipping it, and it doesn't matter which side it winds up in.
Heads, you go to jail. Tails, you go to jail. Oh, tails, you go to jail. Done. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
whistleblowers that went ahead of Snowden were also prosecuted or shut down or whatever, that he decided, he's going to do it a different way. He's going to do it surreptitiously and under the radar and do it to where he can get out of town, because he was a patriot enough to still go through with it. But at the same time, he knew what was coming. He was smart enough to know he couldn't go through the regular channels.
Yes.
Everybody else that had gone before him had been pilloried, go on the regular channels. So who can blame him? Most of us would not have been so brave to have done what he did to expose the corruption going on and still going on in the U.S. government.
Well,
I want to talk about what Leon said, though, right? This is from Leon earlier. Leon was talking to me about the idea of, well, we want to make sure judges don't do this because of chaos and the order. And to your point, Leon, in this case, if that were true, and I've heard people say it, well, no, if you're going to do it, you have to pay the price and you have to, go to jail and blah, blah. I'm on Tim's side. No, you don't. These judges don't care about my freedom. They don't care about the system. They don't accept the system. They would put me in jail. And you know what's funny? If Snowden had not done what Tim said, and again, I agree 100%, and he would have felt by the system, Judges would have completely screwed him over. He'd have spent at least 10 years in jail, if not more. His life completely ruined, and he'd be a criminal, not a hero. Him leaving made him a hero. Assange leaving made him a hero. Bailing on this crappy system is what makes them a hero. Tim, I'm with you 100%.
Well, hold on, Liam. Liam, hold on. Before you jump in, I was going to lay the foundation for Snowden, and let me, so our audience knows who we're talking about as well, because once again, if you don't know,
everyone knows who Snowden is. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I mean, there's an awful lot of people. I mean, we had a Secretary of State who thought he should be executed. Anyways, but let me show real quick, James, going out of order here, but can you show KOL 6? Because this is essentially a video that shows what it was that Snowden was reporting about. Snowden said that, hey, look, the government is spying on everybody, and they're lying about it. They lied to Congress. In fact, there was a guy named James Clapper, who was the head of the National Security
Agency.
One of those. There you go.
National Intelligence. He was head of National Intelligence. James Clapper, yes.
Yeah, and so he went to Congress and he absolutely lied about it, and Snowden showed him doing that. And here's video KOL 6, James. Can you show KOL 6?
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
We have evidence, new evidence, for the Obama administration's unprecedented security efforts. The National Security Agency is keeping track of the telephone records of millions of Americans.
Britain's Guardian newspaper obtained a copy of a secret court order authorizing the data collection. The document shows the information is being collected indiscriminately and in bulk.
And so I want to, James, can you show the visual real quick here? Because here's Snowden. He was recently interviewed. He has been in exile in Russia. Oh, did we just lose Larry? Uh-oh. Anyway, Snowden has been in exile for over 10 years in Russia for essentially committing an act of heroism. I mean, this guy shared information that our government was straightforward lying to Congress. Okay. And the guy he lied about is making a ton of money. Now, this isn't him. This is Brennan, but it talks about Clapper as well. And these guys are essentially being able to sell their security clearance to yield salaries at saying up to 15% higher compared with salaries of individuals who didn't have those. And they're able to get all these gigs on CNN and all that while they are essentially telling the rest of us how great the security state is. Places like CNN and MSNBC.
Well, if you're getting their salaries, it is great for you.
Well, but here's some of the stuff. I mean, here's Clapper. He clearly showed he lied, and he's getting invited to speak at all kinds of prestigious places. And yet it's being shown time and time again. He's just lying to the public about everything. Here's he got caught lying to CNN, according to Daily Caller here on an article. And, here's another thing. He signed that letter that the laptop was fake, that going into the Hunter Biden laptop, that may have swung an entire election. You talk about an election interference.
And not even a sorry. Not even a sorry. Nothing.
So, this is, insane stuff. And I just wanted to lay that out there. If you are watching,
No, I think Leon wants to yell at me. Let Leon yell at me.
I don't want to yell at you.
Let him yell at me. He wants to yell at me. Let him yell at me.
Okay. Let me say my piece on this, okay? If we get back to the issue of principles here, okay? If your principles drive you to disclose corruption within a system, whether the corruption is in our government, whether the federal government, state government, whatever, if our principles drive us to do that, whether those are moral principles or whatever, political principles, whatever it is, your deep held principles, then you have to be willing to take the consequences of doing this. You must be. Because if you hear people talk about, okay, what would make a soldier say, I'm willing to die for this country, I'm willing to die for this flag. Why would a soldier say that? It's some sort of moral principle within him that says that I am willing to face the consequences of my principles, whether those principles are going out and fight a war or whether those principles are disclosing corrupt activities within our government. Now, I admire both of these people. Don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand me. But I don't think we could just easily dismiss the fact that these guys broke the law. If the law is immoral, I mean, I'll go back to the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King took quite a little bit of jail time because his principles motivated him to see the wrong in our society and do everything he can to fix it. So I think if you have those principles, you must be willing to face the consequences of those principles. Because
what if the consequences aren't? What if the consequences don't affect you? Okay. What if the consequences don't just affect you?
Well, you know, I understand that. That's true. The consequences may not. In my case, for instance, if I were doing this, I have wife, I have two kids, I have a grandson. Sure, it will affect them if I do something and I'm going to face the consequences of that.
Yes.
But everybody, no, but Larry, everybody who have ever took a heroic act in our society or in any society for that matter, they always had somebody there that will be so grossly affected by their life, sometimes adversely affected by the decisions that they make. So, and if those people in our past were not willing to take the consequences of those actions, where would we have been now?
But why do we have to take the consequences that the state decides? And my point being, Snowden did take consequences. So did Assange. They just didn't take the ones the state decided, right? The idea that they broke a law, I don't care. But you're right. They still took Snowden has lost his country for 10 years. He's forced to live in it. He can't leave Russia. He has lost his freedom. He must stay in Russia. And he also knows that the CIA or NSA, whoever, might be ready to take him out at any time, even in Russia is possible. He doesn't even know that. And Assange almost lost his life because he had to be stuck in a room they did take consequences. My point is, what are the consequences of a corrupt system you're trying to fight? That, in my view, is invalid. I would have rather, as much as I respect what Nelson Mandela did, I would have rather of him escaped South Africa than spend 27 years in prison. I would have rather MLK escape to Canada rather than get shot. I would rather them take those consequences than those by the state. The state's consequences are always cruel. Their goal is to destroy you and to make you and to be cruel. I'd rather get under the consequences, is my point. And I think running away is a fair consequence. That's just my view.
I think we may have to agree to disagree on that one, Larry, because I think if you're fighting to change something, you have to stay and fight. I mean, when we declared the Declaration of Independence was written, and we declared that we're going to form the United States of America, I would have guaranteed you, if the King of England had its way, I think it was King George at the time, had its way, he would have rounded up every one of them and hung them by the neck if he could have done that. Okay?
Yes.
But you know what they did instead? They pledged their life, their fortune, and everything to fight that tyranny that was ongoing.
Yes. However, big difference though. They fought and they knew they had a chance at victory. Let me give you an example about 100 years later. What if you were a slave in Maryland? Do you stand and fight slavery against your masters, or do you escape to Pennsylvania? I think you escape to Pennsylvania. I don't think you try to fight the system in Maryland. I think if you're a Jew in 1939, 1940, I don't think you try to fight the Nazis. Then you get in the first boat, head your happy ass to England. That's what I think you do. And you fight from England. That's what I think you do if you're a Jew in 1940, if you're 1940s Germany, or if you're a slave in 1850s Maryland. You escape. You fight from over there. And I think that's what Assange did. And that's what Snowden did. I think it's a smart move. Me and Tim were the same page. You're still mad at me, Leon. I got to get you back in a couple months. I'll come back and I'll be good to you. I'll bring you chocolates or something. I'll be good to you. I'll get you back.
Well, Larry, I did have a few more things I wanted to mention, but I know we're already over an hour, so I just wanted to check with you on time. Where are you at? Or do you need to get out of here real fast?
I do need to bail. So it's past 11 where I am. I'm an old man.
No. Well, I tell you what, we'll jettison the Knucklehead Noise Patrol, but I did want to bring up the real quick just to cement this whole thing down. James,
remember, I'm in New York. It's past 11 o'clock where I am.
Well,
I know I'm
James,
good looking, but I'm still old. I just look good. That's all.
Well, James, this is real quick because I just wanted to show we were just talking about essentially Julian Assange not being corporate media, and lo and behold, about a week ago, this story breaks by Reuters where it turns out that, and I did have some extra stuff, but I don't want to take too much of Larry's time. But
I will yap all night, man. You got to remember that. Next time you bring me on, you know I'm a yap all night. Come on now.
Well, we're just having so much fun. But I tell you, this is the crazy thing with this Reuters story. It was essentially that while our government was telling us that vaccine denial was misinformation during COVID and that they wanted everybody to take the vaccine, and to the point where they were practically forcing it on people at the same time. And we did have a video clip of this, but I'll let it go. But literally, our government was going in and telling people in other countries, don't take the Chinese vaccine. and this was essentially, this is a huge breaking story by Reuters. And in this particular one, it shows that it was in the Philippines. They were essentially going to be using the Chinese vaccine. And there was a table here somewhere that I was going to show. But essentially, it shows that millions of people, or, many, many people were dying there. Am I frozen?
No, we're hearing you.
You guys hear me? Okay, everything was frozen on my side. But anyways, so things are a little frozen, so I can't actually find the table here. But in places like the Philippines, our government was going in and undermining the Chinese vaccine. So China was offering its vaccine to countries in that hemisphere, essentially, or in that region of the world. And
how is Bill Gates going to keep his billions if he can't sell his vaccine in the Philippines?
Yeah. So, and I mean, I'm sure
you didn't think of that, did you, Jason? You don't care about his billions, do you? See how selfish you are?
We are ruining
so selfish, Jason.
We're ruining any chance we have at our Pfizer endorsement here.
I know. Come on. You do want Pfizer as a sponsor. What are you doing? Stop messing around, Jason. You're messing up for everybody.
But yeah, it's just absolutely appalling. Wow.
Tim told me he's going to wear a Pfizer mask next time so he can get the Pfizer money. So he told me.
But I mean, aside from the fact that our government is committing this evil, essentially it's telling us that people are dying here because they're not getting the vaccine. And then it's telling people in other places, don't take it, when it clearly believed that the vaccine does something, and they're causing people to die in other places.
I don't think that's necessarily true. It could be one of two things. It could be that they just wanted American vaccines to be sold there.
I think so too.
That's possible.
Because remember, the one thing that our vax companies were not giving away for free. They weren't. Yeah. Some of them were pressured into giving some away to some African nations for free out of just social pressure, but not because they wanted to. So my gut is, look, Pfizer spends a lot of money for the protection racket it pays the government for, and it's going to get its enforcers. So it got its enforcers to come in and say, no. This our territory, China. All right, it's our territory. Mm-hmm. So they brought in their CIA thugs to push the Chinese out so that Americans could put their stuff in. Look, it's a protection racket. It's the mafia. That's why do you think Pfizer spends so much time bribing all these congressmen and senators so they can get that kind of treatment? That's the reason why they do it.
Well, but essentially, our government was using social media to go out there with fake accounts and spread disinformation.
No, our government was exercising its protection racket.
Exactly, that was a protection racket. But
that's what it was. But Jason, why are we so surprised about our government and social media working together? Why are we so surprised? Look at this whole laptop issue. It was the government and social media working together. I mean, so why were we surprised about the vaccines? No.
And it's just appalling. It's sad that I'm not surprised. But that said, the larger point here is that Reuters broke this story. Is anybody being charged with a felony at Reuters? And it's because they're a very large corporate, at the same time when Julian Assange, for literally doing the same thing, sharing information that the government doesn't want us to know about.
Okay.
And
the only reason why Reuters was not is because the reality of it is most of the mainstream media don't have any reporters anymore. If you look at what they are, they're pretty people who can read well. That's who does the news. They're not actually smart. They're not actually reporters. They're pretty people who can read a teleprompter. So who does the news? It's AP and Reuters. AP and Reuters does the news, and they give it to ABC, CNN, MSNBC. They give it to them. So you can't get rid of those guys. CNN wouldn't have any news.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, the crazy thing is, though, I mean, this was a story you've got to assume that the government didn't want out, because, I mean, this doesn't look good for our government.
No, I'm agreeing with you. But again, the government controls the media. So Reuters got it out, and the government said, don't give it to CNN or Fox or whatever. So it hardly got out at all. That's the point, right? The Reuters and AP don't have very good distribution. They actually do hard news. Their distribution is CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Post, whatever. That's the distribution. These guys don't actually have reporters. Again, they have pretty people who can read. So they need someone to do the news. So Reuters has something. And then the government says, hey, CNN, don't play it. And CNN goes, yes, master. And done.
That's a sad state.
I wish I was lying. You guys know I'm telling the truth. I wish I was lying.
And it is true. I mean, like, the only reason I know about this is because I listened to Glenn Greenwald. And if I didn't listen to Glenn Greenwald, I might, maybe I did.
Who is independent media. Exactly right. And you are his customer.
Yes.
You are his customer. So he must keep you happy. So he gives you stuff like that because you are his customer. But who's Reuters' customer? CNN, Fox, all those places. That's their customer. And then who's the customer of CNN and Fox? The government, because of political parties, and Pfizer. Meaning all other types of pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Merck, Glaxo, those guys.
Yeah.
If you have noticed, I remember this, I never forgot this. I used to watch the morning shows on like CNN morning shows. I watched those shows, Sunday morning shows. And I remember a couple times I would see a commercial for a company called Kerr-McGee. This is maybe 10, 15 years ago. Kerr-McGee, what do they sell? I'm not joking. They sell offshore oil rigs. That's what they sell. And the commercial was about offshore oil rigs. So to ask myself, is there anyone watching TV going, oh, shit, you know what? I forgot my offshore oil rig. I'm so glad it was commercial. Let me call up and let me buy a couple of them. No one does that. No one does that. So why would you have that commercial? Because you want to control the narrative. So you buy all of the commercials so you can put $10, $20 million into an ad revenue share. Yeah. You do that. So now some nasty thing about oil companies comes out and Kerr-McGee says, don't play that. You play that, I pull my ads.
And
this is how narrative.
This is how ivermectin became horse paste.
Correct. Yes, because Pfizer and Merck are spending all that money. And they say, you say ivermectin's valuable, and all of a sudden that $100 million I just spent on ads goes away tomorrow. And Fox goes, horse paste it is.
Yeah.
Horse paste it is.
Well, I wish they could prescribe us something for the disgust that we're feeling.
No, because that's why Joe Rogan can say what he wants, because Joe Rogan's customer is you.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan is independent media. He can say it. Glenn Greenwald, independent media. Breaking Points, independent media. They can say what they want to say because we are their customer. They don't care what Pfizer thinks. They don't care what Merck thinks. They don't care what the political parties think. They're not paying them. They don't care. Their incentive is for us. That's why independent media is so powerful now and so valuable.
Well, I tell you, that definitely seems like a good point to wrap things up on. Larry, is there anything else, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with? And let me bring up your webpage again. James,
don't bring up my webpage. Don't go to the webpage. Go to my Larry Sharpe YouTube page. That's the one I want everyone to go to. Larry Sharpe YouTube page. Go to that page, subscribe, click the button, do all the cool things, and watch my stuff, damn it. Watch my stuff. It matters. YouTube's important because everybody watches YouTube. You know, I hate YouTube. It's still right. Watch my stuff on YouTube. If you can't, watch it on Facebook or watch it on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I'm on all the things. I'm even on Gab and Getter and MeWe and Tribal and Spoutable. I'm on all the things. Just pick one and watch my stuff.
Larry, I just pulled up your YouTube page. James, can you show that real quick so people can see it? It looks like a fun page. You got a picture of a pitcher there, and
yep,
looking like he's about
that's me. Hold on, no, that's me.
Oh, okay, yeah. Awesome.
No, I can still throw a strike. When you run for governor, very often minor league teams will allow you to throw the first pitch. Mm-hmm. So I throw the first pitch. That's the Brooklyn Cyclones. I also threw the first pitch for the Utica Blue Sox. And by the way, I have it on record. It was videoed. I threw. It was a strike. I'm over 50 is all I'll say. I am over 50 and I can still throw a strike. Damn it.
that really says something. You're throwing strikes,
yes,
and Fauci isn't even hitting the plate.
There we go. Yes, he can't hit the plate. That leg kick. That's from last year, by the way. That leg kick. I can still do that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's a great spot to wrap everything up on. And if you're watching this, then before the next show, think about what it is you can do in your region, because obviously everybody's got to get involved. I mean, this. We've got a lot of forces lined up against our liberties. And if you don't figure out what you can do to sort of get involved, we might lose some of these liberties. So before the next show, think about, some of the other people we've talked to, ways that they've been involved, whether it's running for a school board, maybe some private company that helps people, get more free. There's believe it or not, there are some people out there with great ideas that trying to buck what government is doing. Think about what you can do before the next show and try to do something, get up off the couch and do something to move for liberty. But until the next time, stay tuned and stay free.
Oh, yes, indeed. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.